An Old Town man is facing multiple charges following a standoff with police yesterday. Police say 20-year-old Rowan Lynch is charged with aggravated reckless conduct and domestic violence criminal threatening. They say reports of a man in crisis with a firearm came in just before 2:30 yesterday afternoon on Martha's Way in Regency Trailer Park, which borders the UMaine campus. Shortly after police got to the home, they began negotiating with Lynch over the phone. At the same time, other officers evacuated nearby residents. They say Lynch was safely taken into custody after an extended period. Lynch is currently being held at the Penobscot County Jail without